If you're using Squarespace to make your website, you might be wondering what these heading and paragraph numbers mean and if you should even use them. In this video, I'm going to show you what they mean, how to use them on your website, and why you should care about them going forward. So on first glance, when we click through here, we can see that the size changes when we select a new heading type. So we're like, oh, okay, that's just a size selector. But these heading designations are actually doing much more for your website on the back end, so you want to make sure that you're using them correctly, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, the beauty of Squarespace is that we have an on-page editor. We can literally click and drag and type right here on the page. We don't have to know how to code in order to make a beautiful website. But as we edit our website, as we type words in here, and as we add images, code is being written behind the scenes to make all of this work. So why does that matter? That matters because when we designate a text area as heading 1, it's going to get tagged as H1 in our site's code. And that is what search engines use to index our sites and make sense of our sites. So if SEO or search engine optimization matters to you, you'll want to make sure that you're using heading styles correctly. Now, the way to use headings correctly on every page of your website is to think of it like an outline. So I created this Google Doc here to illustrate this. But at the top of your page, you should have an H1 or heading 1 for your main headline of the page or the page title. Next, H2 should be reserved for section titles. So major sections of the page should have H2, and going down from there, we have H3 as subheadings, H4 as sub-subheadings. So when we pop back into Squarespace, we can see that at the top of this page, we have H1, heading 1, and then we have heading 2, heading 2, heading 3, heading 2 for another section title. Now, you don't need to have every single heading style on every single page, but the most important thing to remember is that you should have one H1 or heading 1 on the top of every page, and then it should be descending from there. So structuring your content and using your headings in this way is what we call heading priority or heading hierarchy in the web design world. And it's an industry standard because it ensures that content on your page has a logical flow, which is going to ensure that your visitors have a better experience, and sites that offer better user experience are naturally going to be more prioritized in search results. So again, these heading selectors are more than just a size adjustment. They actually tag the text that you have written here as headings on the back end. So you want to be very intentional about what you're designating as a heading 1, heading 2, etc. down the page. So you might be wondering, okay, that's great, but I actually do want to adjust the size of these headings. How do I do that here in Squarespace? And that's great. So I'm going to go over a couple customizations for you. First is adjusting the size of all of your headings, and then next would be adjusting the size of one of your headings down the page. Like let's say you wanted to make an H3 larger. I'm going to talk about that as well. So first, to customize the size of your headings, you're going to come up to Site Styles and head over to Fonts, Headings, and then Size. These little sliders are where you can adjust all of your heading 1 sizes, all of your heading 2s, heading 3s, and heading 4s. So these are global adjustments. So that means across your site, all heading 2s will be 5.2, all heading 1s will be 6.8, etc. So let's say you wanted to make one particular heading larger that's like halfway down the page. You're like, I really just want this text to be larger than it is. You might at first think, oh, well, I'll just make that heading 1 to make it really big. But that is a no-no in web design because we already have one heading 1 on the page. We don't want 2 heading 1s on the page because remember, it's more than just a visual aesthetic choice. It goes into that technical tagging of the text. So what I would recommend doing instead is keeping it at the heading designation that it is, and then using the scale text feature. This is the little A with brackets on it. So that scales up the text to the size of this blue container, which we can then adjust to whatever size we want, but it's still noted as heading 3, which again is important for our site structure. So that's a little design hack that we like to use if we want to have a larger area of text halfway or all the way down the page, but we don't want to use another H1 or H2 again. We want to keep our heading priority, but make that visual design choice. So that's a good way to do it. Now there's a few troubleshooting items I want to talk about with headings in Squarespace. So sometimes when you designate a heading to be very large in size and you have a long word, like transformative, sometimes it gets cut off. The first option would be to decrease the size of that particular heading style. So in this case, heading 1, we could decrease that a little bit until that particular word fits on the page. However, note that that adjustment will change that heading style across your site. So all heading 1s will now be slightly smaller. The other thing you could do, and this is a little design hack that we like to use at Old Space Creative, is the scale text feature again, but we're going to use it in a very specific way. So we're going to highlight the word that's getting cut off, just that word, and then we're going to click scale text, and that should keep it in alignment with the other text in the text box. And then we're just going to go check mobile view to make sure that worked. So as we can see, that word is not getting cut off anymore, and it still looks to be about the same size as the words accompanying it, so that worked. Sometimes if the word appears much smaller or much larger than the other words in the text box, that could be a little bit distracting, so the scale text might not be the best solution if that's happening, but that's something to try. And the last thing I want to mention here is that if you wanted to have some paragraph text in the same font as the heading, and let's say you chose heading 4 for a paragraph of text, this is not something that we would recommend because, again, those heading tags get added to your site code. And that's, we usually reserve headings for small lines of text, not full paragraphs. So if the issue that you're coming across is you would like to see a different font being used for your paragraphs, I would, instead of designating a heading to that paragraph, I would go into Site Styles and change my paragraph font. So we can go into Paragraphs and just choose a new font here. That way our paragraphs are still tagged as paragraphs and our headings are tagged as headings. So there you have it. That's how to use proper heading priority on Squarespace. Just remember to think of each website as an outline with H1 at the top of the page and then in descending order from there. If you don't want to do all of this yourself, our templates come pre-designed with heading priority already set up for you. All you have to do is replace the demo content that you see here with your own text and be on your way.